Welcome to California in Focus. I'm David Mastio. Today we're talking about San Francisco and some of the crazier things that are being fought over in court and what people think about it. Joining me today is the Center Square's Kenneth Schrupp, our California reporter. Kenneth, what's going on in court?
Hi, David. There's a lawsuit going on now where some individuals within the Tenderloin neighborhood of San Francisco are suing the county city of San Francisco for allegations that it is responsible for turning the area into a drug and crime, quote, containment zone. The city and county of SF tried to dismiss this lawsuit, but the judge is allowing 5 out of the 6 claims against the city and county to continue. I say city and county because it's a consolidated city-county that has the same borders. So for now on, I'm just going to say San Francisco. So these actions allege that the government encouraged addicts and dealers to come to the area, such as operating a now closed supervised drug consumption lounge, distributing drug paraphernalia, and even allowing drug use and sales in city-run shelters.
That sounds pretty dismal. We've written about this neighborhood in San Francisco before. Is this not the place where the city has put in a curfew?
Right. San Francisco put in a curfew for businesses operating in the Tenderloin area over concerns that open businesses are hotspots for crime, drug dealing, and drug use. They also were concerned with the fact that the large crowds of criminals who congregate vastly outnumber the police patrols sent at them, which makes the police feel unsafe. So business leaders at the time wondered why San Francisco was shutting down businesses instead of cracking down on crime.
This gets us to the second story that we're going to talk about today. For some reason, people in the Bay Area think it might be better to live somewhere else. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, David, there's been this survey conducted by the Silicon Valley Joint Venture, this local think tank, that has been tracking how many people are planning on leaving the Bay Area in the next few years, what are some of the issues they care about, and what actions do they want taken. And their latest poll found that 47% of Bay Area residents are considering leaving in the next few years. But that's actually not as bad as it used to be. During their first 2021 poll, they found 56% were considering leaving in the next few years. So things are getting better, from a little more than half of people saying they want to leave to now less than half of people saying they want to leave.
So what are the issues that drive people who are considering leaving to take that step?
Well, cost of housing, cost of living, and homelessness. So really, housing is really expensive. People don't make enough money relative to how much it costs to live there. And homelessness makes people feel unsafe, and they don't feel like they're getting their money's worth. I mean, do you want to pay thousands of dollars a month for a studio apartment for people to be committing crime on the street in front of you, defecating in front of you?
These are big, vivid issues all across California. And we've written in the past about California losing population overall. Do we know what's happening in the San Francisco area?
Yeah, San Francisco lost about 7.2% of its population in the COVID era. That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of tax revenue. It did, according to the California Department of Finance data, start to regain a tiny, tiny fraction of its population this year for the first time in a while. But overall, area has been experiencing a net outflow. The same goes for all of California. And this is especially pronounced among higher income families. I think I read somewhere that the ratio of households making over $100,000 leaving to coming is something like 2-to-1. And there's great concern that this will erode California's state revenue in the long run, which will make it harder to finance its ambitious state welfare and social and infrastructure programs.
So what do the people polled want to be done about these issues of housing and homelessness?
Well, they want the construction of quote-unquote affordable housing to take place. These are deed-restricted housing that requires that it be priced relative to the area median income. This is price-controlled housing that generally is proven to increase the price of all of the non-price controlled housing. And so that's not really proven to be a solution for anyone other than the few people who do get into the affordable housing units. They also want restrictions on investors purchasing homes. It does not seem that investors purchasing homes is driving the uptick in San Francisco. Somewhere like New York or London, where there's a lot of foreign capital coming in and people are trying to launder money from other countries by buying real estate that sits empty. Yeah, that's not happening in SF. There's just a lot of money from a lot of the tech salaries and not a lot of housing added because the city just doesn't approve a lot of new housing projects. It has the longest time for construction and environmental clearance and permitting in the country. And lastly, they want more funding for law enforcement and cuts to residential tax burdens.
Kenneth, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.